Hello everyone! In today's video, I'm going to show you how to take this house and turn it into this. Hello everyone, this is Bradmall coming at you. Hope you're having a great day. In this video, I want to help you take your building to the next level with only a few easy steps. So as you saw in the intro, don't settle for this when we can build something a lot better. Let's get to it. Okay, to begin with, you know what? If you can build something like this, you're not half bad. You know, you've got the idea there. It's not just a square. If you're not building squares in Minecraft, I know it's a blocky game and everybody wants to build squares, but if you can build a house that's not just a block, you're already ahead of the game. So how do we take this and just make it a little bit better? Well, for starters, we're going to change the walls, okay? Step number one, the walls. We want to make the walls a little bit interesting. We're in Minecraft 1.13 now, so we're going to use the stripped oak log. So I'm going to change all this out for stripped oak log to give it just a little bit more of an interesting look. So that's tip number one, use interesting blocks. And I'm not talking about the terracotta blocks either. Okay, the walls have been swapped out with a more interesting block, and I think that is looking pretty good. So to move on to the next thing is the roof. Step number two, make the roof look interesting. A roof will make or break your build. The first thing to make your roof interesting is the shape of it. Now you can do the stereotypical thing that most people do. Stair, 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 stair. As you can see here, we didn't do that. We've added a little bit more interesting look to our roof by going stair, full block, stair on top of the full block, stair, and then a half slab on top. It just adds a little bit more steep to your roof to make it a little bit more interesting. Most people know this trick, but if you didn't, there you go. Another thing that I would do here, see how this roof is sticking off one block past the wall. That's an interesting look. It kind of makes the house look like a cottage look. But one thing that I see a lot of people forgetting to do is add upside down stairs to the bottom of these. Even if you just do the stair, stair, stair look, you can add upside down stairs to this and it makes it a lot more interesting. I would even add an upside down stair here at the top. And see, it just adds more shape to your roof. Okay, the next thing you can do to make your roof a little bit more interesting is if you have enough room, you could add some what they call as dormers. And basically what that is you've probably seen them just on houses, a little window fixed into the roof. And how I would do that is this and that, and then I would do an upside down stair there and just add that right there. And that just adds a little bit more to your roof. It just adds a little bit more interesting detail to your roof is dormers. And I can add one, obviously we add one there. I can add one here or there. And I could add one here or there. See, I have a lot of room. Now, don't go too crazy with them. You only just want a few just to add a little bit more detail. A lot of something good doesn't mean it's good, okay? You need small details, and don't use it repetitively. Use small details to just add a little bit more to the build. Another thing you could do to make your roof a little bit more interesting is swap out some blocks. We do this, you see these in people using it for walls, but you don't see it in roofs a lot. Here on this corner, I would swap these out for half slabs, just to add a little bit more interesting detail to the edge of my roof. Okay, not there. That one's not gonna work right there. See, this is trial and error. You place blocks, you take blocks away and you place them. Now the next thing, I would start taking away and adding some of these type of blocks. Start filling it in, and don't try to make a pattern out of it. You just go in and break some blocks and add them where you see fit. Now on the edge, I would probably leave that all the same block just because I think it will mess up the flow of the build. But I just got several different gray blocks that go in the pattern and that fit the pattern, and just start breaking them out. And I might even do one right here just to get a little peek of one here. And I did break a stair if you got stairs. But basically just go through, mess it up, and change out some blocks in the same color palette to make it a little bit more interesting. Okay, now that that's done, you can see the roof is a little bit more interesting. There's more texture to the roof. I went around and added different blocks to all the sides. There's not a pattern. You tried not to make a pattern, but mess it up a little bit. Fill it in with some blocks of the same color pattern, and there you go. You've got an interesting roof now. on to the next step. Okay, the next step would be to add some interesting shaped blocks. Not just square blocks, some interesting shaped blocks, like fence posts. I'm gonna add them around the corners of this house just to add some more shape. You know, it's not your stereotypical Minecraft block. It's not just a square, it's got shape to it, which adds more to the outside of the house. I'm gonna do that on all the corners. Okay, and actually there it is. That is all the building of the house that you really have to do to make a house look interesting. Get your walls covered, get your roof interesting, make it look interesting by adding different blocks, by adding, you know, making it shaped different, and then adding some exterior blocks. But let's say we want to take it to the next step, one step further, because this is still looking pretty plain. The next thing to do would be paths and foliage. That's what's going to draw people's eyes, is different things, taking it to a different level, doing things that other people don't think to do. A lot of people can throw a build like this together, but adding paths and foliage and interesting things around the house is what actually makes it more interesting to look at. And so to add foliage, some of you might not be good at adding foliage. Basically, just spam the blocks, okay? Just get some leaves, get some leaves and just start spamming the blocks. You can even do some that kind of crawl up onto the house. It just makes it look more interesting. It adds more color. We're gonna add just two right there. Just do a couple here. Sorry if I'm making you dizzy by throwing you around. But this is all that I'm doing, is just basically spamming leaf blocks. And look at this, it already is starting to look a little bit more interesting. Now I'm gonna go back and just start to add some flowers somewhere. I don't want to add that one because I want to do this. And flowers and the color palette of your flowers is important too. Red, white, and blue, okay? America, right? There's a reason why most flags are red, white, and blue. Those are colors that go well together. Look at colors that go well together, and people will not. It won't seem weird when they see those colors together. That is another tip for building: is pick a color palette that works together. Another interesting thing that we can do is let's add a block here and a flower pot here, and add one of these. It's just another thing to add to make it look a little bit more interesting on the outside. Let's do another one right here. Let's put a blue flower in there. I love the blue flowers. And so there is another tip on how to make it a little bit more interesting on the outside. The next thing we said was paths. So let's make some paths. And basically all I'm going to do is say, okay, this is what I want my path to do right here. I'm plotting out my path. Let's say, and I want it to go this way. And I want it to break off this away, like so. And I want it to come back together like this in the middle here. So we have this nice big area in the middle to work with in this path. But that's a boring path. So what I'm going to do is add some more blocks to this path. One way to make your paths interesting is to not make them just straight. To not just go like this. You know, okay, I want to go this way, now I want to go this way, and just make a sharp turn. Now, sometimes you can do that, you know, maybe in a tunnel and stuff, it works. But if you want to just do paths, make it more natural flowing. Don't just make it straight. I'm going to add some more blocks to this. Okay, I've added more blocks to our path, and the next step to make your builds a little bit more interesting is layers. Don't just make everything on a super flat world. You could do something like this. There's a reason why I made the path a circle, is so we could do something interesting in the middle here. And basically, all I'm gonna do is add some more foliage around here. Don't be selective. I mean, there is a point that you can be selective about what you're placing, but a little bit of it is just spam placing. Just spam place the leaf, and then go back in and add some flowers. Like I said, sticking to your color palette that make it look a little bit more interesting. It's all these little details that the pros think of that the average builder doesn't, that sets them apart. So there we go. Now we kind of have an interesting thing to look at. You might add some water in there. You know, you could add, let's see here, you could add some of these, the logs that now have on all sides that are kind of interesting to look at. You could add some buttons, some stone buttons to throw around on the ground in here to make it look like little rocks in here, to make like little stones. So yeah, just make it a little interesting, just little details. That's what set this thing apart. We're talking about foliage, we need trees. Let's add some trees around this thing. And now we have trees. And you might also see that we have some other little details. We have some stone buttons around the ground for stones, some grass just here and there. I've placed a junglewood trap door in front of some of these windows. Not all of the windows, just some of the windows. Remember, a good thing used a lot is not a good thing anymore. Use it sparingly, but I like that look. I've added a little table with some flower pots, a flower, and a mushroom to make the table. It's just an upside down stair put together. On the back side here, I've added a little bench. Again, just two stairs together with a log, flower pot, and a flower in it. These are just little details that are going to set your build apart that the average person isn't going to think to add to their build. You put it in there, they notice it, your build looks a lot better to them. Another thing that you can add, the last little bit, is an interesting looking wall around your property, wherever you want to say, the land that you claim, however you want to say it. You can add an interesting wall instead of just an oak wood fence. Basically, how I created this fence is I just spammed a bunch of cobblestone in the shape that I wanted it to be. I just made a U shape around the house. And then I just go back through and add some more cobblestone blocks. And then I go through and add some andesite blocks, like this. Just spamming them. Remember, just spam it. Not a pattern, it's just spamming. I add some stairs here and there where I think that looks good. Now the stairs, it is a little bit more choosy where you want it, and then I add some slabs just to add a little bit more shape, different shape to my blocks, and then finally go in and throw a bunch of leaves here and there where they fit and make it look like the foliage is overgrown, this rundown rock wall. And there we go. Now with all these little details, we have changed this beginner looking build into an advanced looking build, a pro looking build. By adding just a few details here and there, you can make your builds and take them to the next level. A level that your friends will be jealous and want you to build everything for them. Thank you for watching. I hope you found something useful in this video, something that will help you take your builds to the next level. If you did, if you wouldn't mind helping me out, hit the like button down below and maybe share it with your friends. I would super appreciate it. If you want to, consider subscribing and leave a comment down below. If you just want to say hi, I'll say hello back. But anyways, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.